Well, it says we're live. While you guys are all getting tuned in and getting a question ready for me, if you want to go ahead and comment, let everybody know who's here. If you got a question for me, be sure and include it in the side chat. I'm going to read some of the questions that was sent to me in the community page where if people maybe couldn't tune in or just wanted to make sure they got their question in. I'll start with the earliest. Surviving Chicago said, what is your favorite load for 30-06 for deer season? I grew up shooting the Remington Core-Lokt 150 grain bullets, just regular old yellow and green box. When I started reloading, I stayed with a 150 grain bullet and I just loaded Speer 150 grain bullets. And my powder was 30-31. I have a video called Reloading 30-06 with IMR 30-31. And I killed, I experimented with several loads there and used that the winning load out of those tests to kill a couple of bucks that year. And I don't remember the powder weight, or I don't remember how much powder 30-31 I put in there. But if you watch that video, you'll find it out. Georgia Boy 44 asked, when are you going to let Beth Moore preach in your church? Laughy face. Yeah. Beth Moore would never darken the doors of our church, and if she did, she for sure wouldn't preach. But I would deliver a sermon on how women ought to act in church and who should be able to teach. Serious question. Have you shot the 6mm arc, and how do you like it yet? And how do you like it? I have not shot it yet, and the holdup is powder. Of the powders I've found listed, Hornady, Reloader 15, and Varget are the only two that I have. I'm looking for Lever Revolution powder, and I just cannot seem to find it anywhere. So haven't shot it yet. I'm going to make some loads with those. And if it rains tomorrow, like they're saying, I'll probably load some tomorrow and do some shooting in the coming week. Austin Presley asked, when did you start reloading and what caused you to do so? I started reloading a little bit before I started on YouTube, so 6 or 7 years ago. It might have been longer than that. I don't remember. 6 or 7 years ago. And the main reason I started was I realized how cheap you could reload your own ammo. And so I saw the price of ammo going up. I remember saying, why would I reload? I could get a box of Remington Core-Lokt ammo in the yellow and green box for $9.98. Why would I want to spend a couple hours making 20 rounds? Well, then all of a sudden, what happened was ammo went to $20, $24. I think when I started reloading Remington yellow and green Core-Lokt, I'm talking about, 30-06, 243, they were like $18, $19 a box. And I realized I could reload it for around $7 or $8 a box. So I thought, hey, this is worth it. Then when I realized I could reload accurate ammunition, I got real excited about it. And then I just said, you know what? I'm not going to buy any more ammo. I will buy 22 and 22 Magnum, anything with a primer in it. I'll figure it out how to reload it. So that's how I got into it. Let me look at your next question. What is the favorite knife you own and why? My favorite knives are ones that people have made for me. A man in my church, Bob Devers, has made me a couple of knives. One we made together, one he made for me. I love those two knives because they're made for me and they're made to my specifications. Another knife that I really love is one that a fellow pastor named Derek Melton made for me. He pastors in Pryor, Oklahoma, and has a forge there. And he forged me a knife and made it for me and gave it to me. And those three knives are probably my favorite. And those are all fixed blade knives. How do you like your coffee? Black, right out of the pot is the way I prefer to drink coffee. Jordan DeWitt asked, have you ever deer hunted in the Ozark National Forest? And I have. I don't deer hunt in the Ozark National Forest often, but I haven't hunted there in quite a while. Most of the hunting I've done in the Ozark National Forest has been squirrel hunting or coyote hunting or something like that. And usually at deer season, it gets pretty crowded up there. But in years past, I did deer hunt in the Ozark National Forest around Chester, Arkansas, over towards Devil's Den. Back in that area, that's where I typically deer hunted at. And I mainly just went with some friends. They knew the area. They hunted there every year. And they were like, just come go with us. So I went. I don't think I've ever killed a deer in the Ozark National Forest. I've killed some in land, private land that was surrounded by Ozark National Forest, but I don't think I've ever killed any actually on Ozark National Forest land. So anyways, I hope that answers your questions. If you have a question for me, put it in the side chat. I just answered all the questions that were given to me on the community tab on my page under the post for going live tonight. So what I wanted to do was just answer questions. I didn't really have a story to tell or anything spectacular. I just like to, from time to time, interact with the people that watch our channel or watch my channel and give you an opportunity to say, hey, that last video or a video I saw you do a while back, or you didn't tell us how much of something to put in something, or, just give you an opportunity. I do the same thing with the church I pastor. From time to time, we'll have a question and answer service where I'll let them just write down their questions and turn them in, and then I'll take some time and answer. That way, if I wasn't clear on a text, or, maybe somebody just has a topic that I haven't talked about, it gives them an opportunity to do so. And so I think it's important to do that with the YouTube channel as well. That way you can ask me questions, and you can learn a little bit more about me, and I can learn a little bit more about you. So that's what we intend to do. So let's see who all's here so far. 67 Rebel SST. Good evening. Good evening to you, sir. Georgia Boy 44, a fellow pastor. How are you, preacher? I'm doing fine. Hope you're doing well, doing good as well. Bait Ammo. Hi, buddy. Hey, good to have you with us. If you're with us tonight, you're watching, I show that there's, I think, 15 right now. If you have a question, drop it in the side chat. If you don't have a question and you just want to let people know who's watching, go ahead and leave a comment in the side chat, and that way we'll kind of know who's here. Daniel Preach, a Louisiana preacher. He has a question. Do you like preaching through a book or topical preaching? I prefer preaching through a book. I like to start at verse 1 of chapter 1 and cover each verse. Sometimes I'll cover a chapter at a time, sometimes just a couple of verses. I've preached 3 or 4 sermons on one verse. I just, depending on the text and what's being dealt with, that's the way I prefer to preach. But I believe there is a place for topical preaching, and I try to do that on our midweek Wednesday night. We call it a Bible study, prayer meeting. But there I usually try to deal with topics. And so, good question. Georgia Boy says you must have missed them. Yeah, you did miss it, and I haven't shot the 6mm arc yet. I'm still looking for some more powder, and but I should be able to shoot that maybe sometime next week if I can get some ammo loaded. I've got all the brass primed. I just need to put a bullet in the top of them and some powder in it and take off. Pawpaw's Barn, hey, thanks for stopping in. It's good to have you with us tonight. Coyote Man Grady Gann, past my bedtime, but I'm watching. He stayed up late for his favorite nephew. That's all right. Well, you'll be rewarded. Maybe we'll figure out how to reload 6mm arc, and maybe you won't blow your face off with another one of those. If you didn't see that video, my uncle was shooting his 6mm arc. We each bought the same barrel, and he was shooting some Hornady match grade ammo, and I took some cases to reload, and one of his cases had a piece of smashed metal inside the case that wouldn't come out, so it had to have been in there while the case was being formed. So anyways, seems like we literally dodged a bullet there. Verse by verse through book, same for you, Georgia Boy. Yeah, I knew that. You and I have talked about it. Hey, preacher, man, deer slayer, Christian man. Hey, Brandon, that's another preacher. Well, it seems like it's going to be a preacher chat tonight. So it's good to have Brandon White with me, good friend of mine, one of my If he and I were closer than 2 hours apart, we would probably, well, we'd probably get into a lot of trouble, actually. Hey, Wayne, good to have you with us. Get what you can before HR 127. That's probably something to do with ammo. I don't really follow politics anymore. I don't really care what they're doing up on the Hill. It's a lot of talk and executive order signing, and that don't really mean much to me. So, and I tell you what, life's been good since I quit watching the news. How many chickens do you have? Good question, Daniel. I have 10 in the backyard. Have 9 hens and 1 rooster. Had 2 roosters. One of those roosters turned mean, so we turned his lights out. So I have 9 hens and 10 and 1 rooster in the backyard. Then in the front yard, I have some millefleur or Banny chickens. I had at one time I had a whole bunch of roosters and 2 hens. We got rid of all the roosters but 1, and then we lost a hen, and then I got the 1-beak chicken. So anyways, long story short, in the front yard, I have a chicken, a hen with just her bottom beak, which you've probably seen me in videos. We have to feed her food wet so that she can eat it with just her tongue and no top beak. And so she's in the front yard, and then there's a Millie rooster and a Millie hen there, but all of those really need to go away. The 1-beak, the half-beak chicken is not laying any eggs, and she's the same age as the ones in the backyard, and they're all laying eggs. And so we don't really want to raise any more bannies, so those are probably going to go away in the near future. Plus, it's time to get the garden done, and we need to consolidate the chickens and have one big pen where we can keep them up. And that way we can have them. The chicken tractor's not working out with 10 chickens in it. We're having to move it too much, and the chickens really need to be out and free to roam. So what we want to do is just park the chicken tractor permanently and put a pen around it where they have more room to roam there, and then let them out periodically. And eventually we're going to have to put a fence around the garden to keep them out, because you do too much work in the garden to let chickens go along. And then chickens are just being chickens, but basically they can wreck your garden in a hurry, especially if your plants are small. So we like the 10, and the plan is to hatch some eggs out of those 10. My wife is a school teacher. She hatches eggs in school in her classroom in an incubator. The kids actually get to see them hatch. It's kind of a way of showing them where their food comes from and how life works. And then she used to give those chickens away after she would hatch them every year. But I think this year what we're going to do is hatch some and keep some hens and kind of selectively keep some. We'd like to, these chickens are just all mixed. There's all different hens. They were bred to all different roosters. We got mixed eggs. So there are no purebred chickens in the backyard. We would just like to select the type of chickens we like, take their eggs, hatch them, keep the hens, maybe one rooster, and basically just kind of have our own Arkansas yard bird breed eventually. Austin, you just got here. I answered your questions right at the start of the video. If you want to back it up, you're not going to miss nothing. I'll just be answering questions and rattling around. But I answered your questions just before you got here. Tried to till your garden. The tiller broke. Oh, man, that was a nice tiller you had. A very nice tiller. I remember when you got it. An older tiller that was still in great shape. My pleasure, Daniel. Richard, how are your plants doing? My plants are doing really good. Matter of fact, I ought to bring them over here and show you. I've got a whole tray of onion plants that I've been setting out on the back porch. And the only thing that's keeping me from putting them in the ground is we were supposed to have gotten hail and thunderstorms and all of this stuff this weekend. So I didn't want to set out my small onion plants and let them get hailed on. So I put that off. Plus I need to get the chickens situated, or otherwise the chickens will go right behind me plucking all the onion sets. So I need to get that done. And the pepper plants and the seeds that I got from Dollar Tree are doing really well. Here, let me just grab a pepper and I'll show you. Just hang on just a second. So here is some cilantro. Show you that. See, it's come up very nicely. This was not Dollar Tree seeds, but this was something we were planting just to see if they would come up. And then here's a couple of cayenne plants. Looks like they're getting their sixth leaf, so they're really starting to take off. And, you know, peppers are always seem to be a little slow to germinate. So as you can tell, the cilantro is quite a bit taller than the cayennes. All the peppers came up pretty well, except for the yellow wax. And I may just not have got them hot enough. You know, peppers require warm soil. So let me go stick these back and we'll carry on. So everything's growing well. I need to, the thing that needs to be done is the raised beds, the boards are breaking down. I went 3 full seasons with them and now they've just completely rotted. So the second set of raised beds that I built, or the second half of my garden, I built those out of cedar, Arkansas rough cut cedar. My uncle has a sawmill, my wife's uncle. Larry has a sawmill, not Larry, Wayne, my wife's uncle Wayne has a sawmill, and he cut the cedar. So I made cedar raised beds, and the original wood raised beds that I built, I guess I got 4, this would be their 4th year. So I got 3 years out of them. And I'm going to replace them with treated lumber. And so I can't really plant anything until I get the new beds. I can plant the cedar beds. I can't plant the other half of my garden until I get all the beds replaced and the boards replaced. So I've got that video coming up. We know how long regular wood lasted. Now we'll have some kind of idea of how long treated lumber will last. So I'm going to go back to the side chat. If you guys have a question for me, if you have maybe something I wasn't clear on, maybe something you would like to see a video on, Bible question, anything like that, just put it in the side chat and we'll try to get to it tonight. 67 Rebel SST. Been trying to study the book of Revelation, but I keep hearing about the 7 years of tribulation on the radio. Where does it say that? Because I'm not seeing or finding it anywhere. Okay. It talks about the number of months, and I'm going off memory here. It talks about the halfway point being 3.5 years. So if halfway is 3.5 years, you end up with 7 years. And during that time is the earth's tribulation. So this would be if you take a literal view, and I do, this would mean that the last 7 years of the earth as we know it would be the worst the years the world has ever seen, and progressively get worse. The Bible says the last 3.5 is worse than the first 3.5. And so that midway point, that's what leads some people to believe in a mid-tribulation rapture. And because in the last part, it gets much, much worse. So it doesn't actually say 7 years of tribulation. It just talks about 7 times, and it talks about 7 being the number of completion. And there's a number of things you kind of have to put together, and I'm just not real up on it. I did a verse by verse study of the book of Revelation about 12 years ago. And I just haven't really dove into it since then, to be honest with you. And I say it so much, it's just kind of common, but I don't have it off the top of my head where I could just say, here, go here, go here, go here. So anyways, it's there. And if I were you, I would just Google it, and that would probably give you the Bible verses that I wouldn't be able to pull up just right off the top of my head and help you. But that 7 year time frame is what's described beginning in chapter 4 and going up to about, I think it's chapter 20. Then you have the millennial reign of Christ when he comes back. And then you have this 1,000-year time frame when Christ reigns on the earth. I believe that's in chapter 21. I'm just don't have a Bible in front of me, but that time frame is covering 7 years. If you take the literal view like I do, chapter 4 up to about chapter 20. So I hope that helps, at least put you in the right direction. I'm first in line for chicks when you get your new breed rolling. All right, bait ammo, I'll keep you in mind. We want colored eggs. We either want blue, green, or brown. I don't know what it is, but when you give people white eggs, they'll say, I thought they were farm raised. Well, yeah, farm chickens still lay white eggs too. And I think people are just so programmed that white eggs are what they have in the grocery store, that those are store-bought eggs. So anyways, we try to get brown, and it's just, hey, look, they're all the same color. They all taste the same, but it's cool to open up a dozen eggs, and some are blue, some are green, some are brown. So we're hoping for colored eggs. And right now, all of our eggs do have color to them. We have one hen that lays a real light rose-colored egg, but all the rest are varying shades of brown and some brown speckled. We have a couple that lay a blue-green and one that lays an olive green colored egg. So, and then obviously we want chickens that are rangy. We want them to go get bugs. We want them to feed around. And so that's a big part of it too. We want chickens that'll go out and forage. Find any more loose metal jackets? No, sir. Went through 76, Andy. 76 or 77 cases. One of them had that in it. The other 76 are fine. I think that's a 1 in a couple million incident. And it really looks like part of to me, after looking at it and thinking about it, it really looks like the piece of a rivet. When a rivet is pulled together, that threaded end, like for tin or sheet metal rivet, that's what it looks like, something like that. Daniel 9 and Matthew 24 through 25. Thank you, Daniel Preach. That'd be a good place for you to look. 67 Rebel. Pawpaw's Barn. Man, I can't believe you're ready to start planting. I guess I need to move further south. Well, the only problem is if you move further south, you'll sweat all summer. I would like to move north, but I know that that's not in the cards for me. So, yeah, I don't really, you can plant cold weather stuff like onions, cabbage, things like that now, but I won't put any warm weather crops in the ground till probably mid part of April at the earliest, April 20th, something like that. I want green eggs and ham. I've got green eggs. They're green on the outside, but they look just like a regular egg. Any double yolks with these chickens? No, I'm not getting double yolks. This is really their first good laying cycle. They started laying right before winter a little bit, and I think we'll start seeing some double yolks as they get their eggs get bigger and they get a little older. What I am seeing, Andy, is really, really dark orange yolks. I probably ought to do a video. I probably ought to go buy some store-bought eggs and just crack a store-bought egg and then crack one of our eggs, because we let the chickens out. We let them eat bugs and worms, and man, their yolks are just, I mean, like super orange. I mean, when you scramble them, they don't look yellow. Your scrambled eggs look orange. It's weird. It's weird. Just dropping in to say, keep doing what you're doing. God bless. Thank you, Noah. Appreciate your input. Appreciate your comment. If you guys have a comment or a question, video you want to see me do, leave it in the side chat. We'll get to it in a minute. Used to raise Aracanas. You know, I had some, never had Aracanas. I had some Egyptians, really cool looking chickens. And a coon got in there one night, wiped a whole batch out one night. Plymouth, White Rocks or Whit Rock, show chickens and small turkeys. Yeah, that sounds pretty interesting. Austin Presley, that's a good reason to start reloading. Handmade means personal, something more. Yes. Black as well. I think we had the smoothest cup this morning. Guatemalan medium and Colombian dark. Guys, let's talk about coffee for a moment. That's a good topic. Let me get something out of the pantry here, and I'll show you what one of my favorite coffees are. Well, I'll show you two of them. And it's good that you bring up coffee. I mean, I shop at Aldi's and a local grocery store. I hate going to Walmart. I don't want to give my money to Walmart. I know I'm in Arkansas, and a lot of people here work for Walmart, people in our church that work for Walmart, but I just try not to shop at Walmart if at all possible. I love supporting my local grocery store. The owner lives in the town. I pastor in. His dad and my dad are really good friends, so I try to support the local grocery store, and I try to go to Aldi's and buy some stuff there. But Aldi's has this Guatemala Fair Trade coffee. It's in a silver container. This is really, really smooth, good coffee. And this is considered a medium roast, but man, is it ever good. And it's like $3.89 for that. And then my other from Aldi's is this blonde roast, the blonde roast coffee. And I get this at Aldi's. It's the same thing. It's like $3.29 or $3.49, something like that. And anyways, it's a light roast. So I go back and forth from the Guatemalan to the blonde roast, which is not blonde. It's regular coffee. I think it's just considered light, but that's what I do. And I really like that coffee. If you have an Aldi's in your area, pick up some of that. You can get it now and you can thank me later. All right. I got to get caught up on these here. Lance just got here. Hope I didn't miss much. I've never said anything that anybody would miss. Glad to have you, Lance. Barely fit in the cages. 6-shooter Texan, thanks for coming by. It's good to have you with us. Yes, you need to get an incubator and hatch some chickens, Austin. GGW Reloading, thanks for coming by. Good to have you with us. Did you ever finish your backyard range? Yeah, it's pretty much done. I've got a gong hanging at 100 yards that I shoot periodically. I've got my little small 22 pistol range. I think it's like 44 yards from the back door. And so I shoot 22s there periodically. And I cleaned off the back porch. From the corner of the porch, I have a rest that I can shoot to the 100-yard range. So I got all my back porch straightened up the other day, and I'll be shooting my 6mm arc right off there. James Pollard, thanks for coming by. It's good to have you with us. Have you ever considered getting a Lee Classic turret or newer press? I do have a Lee Classic turret. Matter of fact, I have holes drilled right here where my arm is, where I can set up a Lee Classic turret. The problem is I haven't really just been loading a lot of ammo to shoot. Really, last fall, I just loaded hunting ammo, and I'm pretty picky on what I shoot a deer with. So I loaded all of it on the single stage, and then I loaded a lot of test ammo. So I'm changing bullets, over 4, 5, 10 rounds. So I just stayed with the single stage. But when I want to turn out some 357, 38 special, some 5.56, I set up the Lee turret and I do it right here. Good question. Can't give me enough preacher. Oh, you could get enough preacher. Yeah, believe me. I'm like cough tonic. I'm only good in small doses. What's your next book of study for your preaching? I'm about to finish up 2 Samuel. I'm in chapter 23. Matter of fact, Lord willing, I should finish chapter 23 this Sunday, and then I'll just have one chapter left. And I'm not really sure where I'm going to go next on Sunday mornings. On Wednesday nights, I'm doing a doctrinal series called These Things We Believe, a study of Baptist doctrine. And I'll be doing that for the next probably 3 months, I would guess, or more, before we finish that series. So I'm not really sure if I'll change anything. Well, I'll have to change Sunday morning. I'm just not really sure where I want to go yet. It was half and half of each. Aldi's brand brewed in a Keurig. Yeah, there you go. I used to have a Keurig, but I got rid of it. Walmart, been once, will never go back. Amen, Uncle John. I'm right there with you. Oh, Glenn and Nettie Cow Emporium are here. Happy Friday night. I love your channel. I love the fact that you guys raise cows in Alberta, I believe. I thought y'all were like in South Dakota or Montana when I first started watching. And then all the metric measurements were coming out. And I'm like, nope, they're Canada. They're for sure Canada. Anyways, I enjoy your channel. I especially like the last one where y'all picked out bulls, went to a bull sale. Enjoy it. Chris338, thanks for stopping by. Glad to have you with us. Did you talk bad about me before I got on, James? All I did was tell him the truth. You tell me if that's good or bad. Daniel Preach, I roast my own coffee. Guatemalan beans are my favorite. I need to get your address. I will send you some. Community Louisiana coffee. Wow. I'll send you my mailing address on Facebook message, Daniel. I don't mind to give it out on here, but then you'd have to find something to write it down with and all that. So I'll get you that information later. Drinking Minuteman American Patriot blend. That sounds good. They tell me the Black Rifle coffee is really good. But a guy offered me a sip out of his cup, but it was the one with the big lid on it and the flip top. And I could tell by the way he'd been drinking it, I wasn't going to drink a sip out of his cup. Not after him anyways. So I'll just have to wonder what Black Rifle coffee tastes like. Would like to see some more fermenting videos. JSJT Outdoors. I would too. Do you know what my problem is? I don't have anything to harvest right now. If I had some stuff growing that I could pick, believe me, I would love to do some more fermenting videos. As a matter of fact, my plan this summer is to make a bunch of fermented hot sauce. I mean, a whole bunch of fermented hot sauce. And I've made a batch of fermented hot sauce. I think I've showed it a few times. I call it Preacher's Fire and Brimstone sauce. I gave it out to the church at Christmas. I've given a bunch out to my pastor friends, and it's kind of a Tabasco type sauce, but much, much hotter than Tabasco. So yeah, me and you both. If the garden comes on, you will see more fermenting videos. BPJ, Jamie just promoted you on the connection, so I just subscribed. Well, thanks for coming by. You're not always going to see reloading videos here. Matter of fact, you won't see a whole lot of reloading videos here. I do still reload, and I will from time to time show you shooting videos and those sorts of things. But mainly it's just what the channel says, whatever I'm doing on my day off. Sergeant Devil Dog, thanks for coming by. Always good to have somebody listening. I appreciate you being here. Haven't been so excited about a new cartridge as I have the 6 ARC. Looking forward to some shooting of yours. I'm excited about it too. My Uncle Grady he's killed a couple coyotes and a pig with his, and he's really fired up about it, which that's got me fired up about it. I know this, I will be shooting it a lot come next hunting season. So yeah, I figured just get ready. I will try some different ammo. The powder I'm looking for is Lever Revolution. That seems to be the cat's meow for that cartridge. And as soon as I can find that, I plan to do some loading with it, and I'll let you know how it does in my 6mm ARC. This is like a peas and carrots chat. Did it make you sick? Are you nauseous? Did you throw it in the trash? And then how is it like a peas and carrots chat? Gun Shop is really good. I'll have to try it. If I can, I'm just not going to spend that kind of money. Somebody needs to bring me a pot of Gun Shop and I'll try it. Did you invite Cranky? The door's always open for Cranky. But, he's got to get off the couch and get permission from his wife before he can show up. Gunship. Okay. Gunship. Pickled egg, preacher. I've got a jar in there with about 5 or 6 left in it. I need to eat them. Well, that's what we ought to have, is a pickled egg eating contest. Cranky Free Zone. That's like a utopia. Brisket video. We had a steer. No, we didn't. We had a heifer butchered She was blind in one eye at birth, and we knew it was going to kind of be an issue with her. The other eye, she wasn't blind, but she couldn't see real good. So we put her up and stall fed her. My mother-in-law did all this. We had it butchered. And of course, you get 2 briskets off every cow. My mother-in-law got the other brisket. My brother-in-law smoked it. It was pretty good. So I've got the other brisket in the freezer. And when I cook that brisket on the smoker, of course, I'll probably be doing chickens and sausage and everything else because my smoker's so big I do it all at one time. Matter of fact, I may save that brisket for summer. But I'll do that brisket and I'll video it. So it'll be homegrown, farm raised brisket video. Blue, everyday Blue. Do you ever dehydrate foods? All the time. Matter of fact, I make a lot of jerky in the fall, and during the summer, I dehydrate a lot of peppers. My favorite thing to do is to dehydrate peppers and grind them up and put them in seasoning and make my own seasoning. I make a seasoning called possum salt, where I start off with Lowry seasoned salt, and I add my own dehydrated smoked jalapenos, my own cayenne pepper, and my own sweet mix of peppers, as well as some other seasonings. I've got a video on that. I do a lot of dehydrating. Yeah, I dehydrate a lot of meats for snacks. I dehydrate a lot of vegetables, some for eating, some for storage, and some for seasoning. I have I think it's a 10 tray Cabela's dehydrator. It's not their commercial dehydrator, but it's the one right under that. It's probably 7 or 8 years old. And I'm really considering getting one newer and bigger just because I do so much. American style community coffee. All right. American style Louisiana community coffee. All right. I mean, if you brew it, I'll drink it. I've been in the military. I've never backed away from a cup of coffee, and I've drank some that you could float a fork in. So, I have it. Yes, Austin, I do have a few jerky videos, one on sliced jerky and one on ground jerky. And then I've got one where I taste test some different ones. What do you use to grind your peppers into powder? Tree Demont. Was that Tree Demont? Tree Demon? Tree Demon 133. I use a coffee grinder or a spice grinder. But once you use that coffee grinder for peppers, you're never going to put coffee in it again. It will permanently be pepper grinder after that. So my advice, if you grind your own coffee with the coffee grinder, you add your coffee beans, you put the lid on, you pulse it a few times. That right there, get everything good and dry. I've done that with garlic. I've sliced garlic thin, dehydrated it, pulsed it till I had a really fine powder, and then you got garlic powder. I've done that with onions and made onion powder. So a dehydrator and a spice grinder, if you have a garden or you have a way to get produce cheap, is a great way to go. Good question. You might have a little addition to hot sauce. Hang on here. You might have a little addition to hot sauce. Just saying. No, I think I know what you're saying. Sean Dotson. Hey, Sean. Man, thanks for coming by. Me and Sean's known each other since we were little kids. It's good to have you on. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you're doing good. What is a Gunshot brand? What is the Gunshot brand? Of coffee, Wayne, I think is what you're asking about. Black Rifle Coffee. Their coffee is named after, one of them is named after gunship. One of them is like tactical. I forgot what the one they were offering me a sip out of the cup was, but they all have some kind of military or tactical type names, but it's Black Rifle Coffee. All things hot. Yes. Is that what I'm adding? Okay. I thought you were going to say peas and carrots. So, sounds delicious, preacher. Well, I didn't get this thick figure by eating bad food, forcing it down me. I ate it because I liked it. Did your fan show up again after the game camera incident? And no, he didn't. And I went down a few times during the snow and checked for tracks. And I didn't see him. I did see where the fence was kind of pushed down. So I think he has come through there a few times. I'm pretty sure I know who that guy is. He doesn't think I know who he is, but I know who he is. I've got a pretty good feeling. I've got several pictures of him. And so I just need to pay him a visit and sit down with him one day and explain to him that I really do know who you are. And trust me, he doesn't want the cops sniffing around his house. He does other things that are far worse than trespassing. And if trespassing on me gets the cops sniffing around his house, I'm sure he'll stop. You'd do them all separate, Uncle John. Could you smoke your jerky in your smoker? Yes, Austin, you can smoke jerky. I have smoked jerky a few times. I love smoked meat, but I don't like dried smoked meat. The only thing dried and smoky that I like is salmon, and we don't have them around here. But if I had salmon, I would love to smoke salmon. But they say to smoke it on alder, and I don't have any alder. So, the only really dry, in my opinion, if you're eating meat that's been smoked and it's dried, it's like a preservation method. You know, you're trying to survive winter in the 1800s. I like my smoked meat to be juicy, running with fat and juice. And so when it comes to jerky, I don't ever try to smoke it. I always just dehydrate it. I'm smoking 3 briskets and 2 butts tomorrow for Sunday. Well, if I didn't have business to do Sunday, I'd be right down there, Daniel. That sounds great. I have a feeling blind cow brisket. It's going to be hard to locate. I'll substitute regular brisket and hope for the best. Hobby's Hobo, you probably do better than me. This heifer was a little small, but I think she got about as big as she was going to get. My mother-in-law said she was feeding her, but she wasn't weighing anymore. So we took her down and got her butchered. And the brisket's not as big as what you'd get off, like, say, a Packer brisket that come out of a feedlot. Even though this cow was fed out, it's just our steaks aren't as big, just because the overall size of the cow wasn't as big as what you'd get in an older steer in a feedlot. Good old witness visit, sounds like to me. I guess so. Will you get the corona vaccine? Bad things are said about the origins of it. No, Wayne, I won't get the corona vaccine. I've already had the coronavirus. My doctor tells me if you've had the virus, you've got the antibodies. What the vaccine does is get your body to build antibodies. So since I've already had the coronavirus, I don't have any need of getting the corona vaccine. But if I had not had the coronavirus, I still would not get the corona vaccine. I don't get any vaccines. I don't get the flu vaccine. I got so many shots in the military. I'm probably good to the year 2077. So when I got out of the military, I said, you know what? I'm not getting it. Now, look, if I step on a rusty nail, you can give me a tetanus shot, but I'm really not interested in getting a vaccine for every little thing that comes out. Do you cut back on the jerky mix from what they say to use? No. The only thing I leave out is the nitrate packet. I prefer the Backwoods blend. I did a series where I tested, I don't even remember what brand that was. I can see the pack is like a blue background with a cow standing on it. But Windwalker Outdoors did a series on it where he made all the flavors and took them to work and had everybody try them. There were some of those that were just way too salty. And I don't know what happened there, but for me, I like the Backwoods blend. I like the hickory and the original, and I leave out the nitrate pack, and I might go 5.5 pounds instead of 5 pounds of meat, but I don't really cut it back. And what I really like to do is just make my own. So good question, James. Master Sergeant Bull, Senior Master Sergeant. Didn't mean to demote you a stripe there, sir. Senior Master Sergeant Bulldog. Thanks for coming by. It's good to have you with us. When I get settled in up in Alaska this summer, I'll send you some salmon, buddy. That would make my day. You just get it smoked and vacuum seal it and send it to me. Oh, man, that'd make my day. I went to Seattle, Washington as a kid. Across the bay from Seattle in a little town called Indianola. And that's the first time I ever had smoked salmon, and I fell in love with it, and I eat it every time I find it after that. GGW Reloading. What woods do you like to smoke with, preacher? I like oak. Just regular old red oak or white oak works good. I have hickory. I smoke on hickory. I've smoked on cherry, and I've smoked on pecan. And really, I go back and forth between any of those four, the oak, the hickory, the cherry, or the pecan. I don't get real picky about which one it is. I just try to stay with those hardwoods. I don't mix them. I mean, you could mix them, but really what I try to do is I just do oak, red oak and white oak. I don't ever change, like, got to be all white or all red. And there's nothing wrong with mixing them. But I just try to, if I'm going to do cherry, I do all cherry. If I'm going to do pecan, I do all pecan. Good question. When you head north to eat rights, I don't know. I probably after the COVID thing is completely over. Down here where I live at, I'm south of Northwest Arkansas. And I walk around all the time without a mask on. I walk into restaurants and sit down. But when I go to Northwest Arkansas, it's like a whole corner of Arkansas is full of Karens. Everybody looks at you weird. People come up to you and tell you to put your mask over your nose. And I just don't want to pop off. I got a smart mouth, and I don't want my buttons pushed. So I'm probably not going to go to Wrights until I can go up there with no mask on, sit down, and eat. So whenever that happens, that's probably when I'll try Wrights barbecue. What happened to your face? Where's all your hair's gone? I'm surprised you noticed. As thick as my beard is. I always keep the goatee. I got that in 1999 when I got out of the Air Force. I'm still hunting for a unicorn buck, but all I find is does. That's exactly right, Lance. Same here. It's like we're overrun with does. Jay Porter, thanks for coming by. It's good to have you with us. Hey, Bearded Carpenter. It's good to have Paul with us. If you guys want to see a guy that knows how to build a log cabin, and I mean build it right, you go to the Bearded Carpenter's channel, watch Paul. That guy, he could do more with a chainsaw than I could do with a whole shop full of tools. He is a true craftsman. I enjoy his videos. He lives about an hour or so south of me, and I need to get down there and see him whenever things slow down a little bit. Dude, let's see here. Have never tried oak. It's all over where I'm at. Okay, there's some oak is not all oak is created equal. If you've got red oak and you've got white oak or post oak, some people call it post oak. If you've got any of that, you should be good to go. I don't know what part of the country you're in. You just have to be careful with some of the water oaks. They stink and the grain's twisted in them, and they don't burn as well. But if you get a white oak or a red oak, Texas, it's almost all post oak. It's what they burn there. And I'm talking about East Texas, North Texas. You get out west, it's mesquite. So, yeah, I'd encourage you to try it. Karen, I don't know what else to say, man. Most of the people where you live, Andy, didn't grow up in Arkansas. They don't have common sense. And I don't know, something about 9 months of incubation in Arkansas, you're born with a little more common sense. Most of these people were born up north, and they're mad about having to live among us, and they don't like it, and it shows. So if you mix them, you'd just be a snob. Yeah. Or low on wood, one or the other, John. Hey, Mario, thanks for coming by. Good to have you with us. What was the expensive ammo you did not want to buy? The expensive ammo I didn't want to buy was .243. I bought a Tikka 243, and my uncle Grady, he bought one first. He was telling me how awesome it shot, and then I needed to go get one. So I ran out and bought a Tikka 243, and I fell in love with this thing. But we were shooting Federal premium ammo, and at the time it was like $32 a box. And I was like, I'm paying over $1.50 a shot for this. And all I'm shooting with it is a mangy coyote that I'm not even going to pick up and bring home. So I was like, there's got to be a better way. Well, Bob, a guy at our church, he was big into reloading. He was like, let me load you some ammo for that new rifle. So he just put together a box of ammo for me. And I went and shot it. And man, it shot good. I mean, it shot like a 3/4 inch group. I was like, wow. And I think they were, it was Hornady. It was some kind of, it was a polymer tip bullet. I can't think of what it was called. Yeah, I can. It was a Hornady Interlock. Yeah, I happen to have some here. It was a Hornady Interlock bullet. And it was like maybe an 80 grain. Anyways, I went out, I killed a buck with it. I thought, man, I'm going to go out there and load my own ammo. So I'm not going to pay $32 a box for ammo anymore. So that's what it was, Wayne. Sarah, hey, from Wisconsin. Hey, I hope you guys are staying warm. I think it's starting to break up a little. And I'd really like to get up there and see you and William again. I really enjoyed our short visit that day. I'd like to come back and spend some more time with y'all. That was really kind of the highlight of my whole trip, actually. Paul, I plan on coming and seeing you. To be honest with you, last week I was away from home more than I was home, just preaching in various places across Arkansas and Oklahoma. So this week I tried to get caught up on things here. Next week, I've got some stuff to do at church. I've got a sewer line that was repaired that I need to get filled back in. I've got audio problems I need to straighten out. I've got a computer that won't communicate with a TV that we need for announcements. And worst of all, I got a beaver dam in the ditch behind the church, and it's backed up and the water's 4 foot deep. So I've got beaver trapping and audio visual and sewer on tap next week as pastor of the church. So he's pastor of a small church, wear a lot of hats. I get all that done. I'm probably going to take a week off sooner or later. And then when I get back, I'm going to come see you. I really want to get down there and see that cabin you've been building. I really enjoyed last time we all got together. So I can't believe you got so many views on the chicken videos, bro. Well, it's fascinating, man. People don't know what chickens eat. They think they just go to the grocery store and there's chicken breast and drumsticks. So I guess that's why. Interlock is a great bullet. I think it is too, Georgia boy. Expensive ammo, you say? 22 mag or 410? Incredible. Yeah. That's the thing about ammunition. When I started reloading, it wasn't as expensive as it is now. And I just started buying everything I could get my hands on. You know, I didn't buy, I'm talking about reloading supplies. I didn't buy it at exorbitant prices, but if I found a deal or a fair price of something I would use, I bought it. If it was a good deal and I didn't know if I'd use it, I bought it. And so what I've been able to do is kind of trade some of the stuff that I don't shoot or don't load for stuff that I would. And, you know, we've got a good community of reloaders, and so it works out good. I wanted to try some spears in my 243, but they're out always. I'm going to be honest with you. I couldn't hardly find any either, James. At one time, I had around 1,000 100 grain 243 spear boat tail soft point bullets. But I loaded for Brandon White, the preacher that was on here. I loaded him a couple boxes. I loaded my brother some. I loaded another friend of mine some. I loaded some and sent to Alabama for hunting with Hadaway. His daughter Fawn's killed a few deer with some of my reloads. And so I've mailed these things off and loaded them, and now I'm down to just a few hundred myself. So I would really like to find some. Matter of fact, I had some ordered about a year ago before all the big shortage stuff hit. I had some ordered, and I got an email saying that They were back ordered, and they did away with my order. I need to reorder. I never did. I didn't think it'd be that big of a deal. Now I wish I would have reordered. Loving the channel from here in North Carolina. Those chopped brisket sandwiches look good. Thanks, Jay. Those chopped brisket sandwiches over there at Wild Horse are different. The sauce is different. The beans, everything over there is different. That guy did his own thing, built his own business. Like I said, it's like third generation now. A lot of people tried. It's not what they're used to. They don't like it, but I grew up eating it. Still love it to this day. Never drive over Horseshoe, or never drive over Wild Horse Mountain. I don't pull in there and get something to eat. Corn chops and hog feed. We feed ours a mixture of chops or scratch grains, what technically what it's called, scratch grain and laying pellets 50-50. Send them on over, Paul. I'd love to have them. Always be welcome with us. A shepherd carries more than a crook and a staff. Our reloading supply is hard to find in Arkansas. There's some available. I went into a pawn shop today, Mario, and they had a lot of powder. It just wasn't any powder that I was using. It wasn't anything I needed. And they had a lot of brass. Just wasn't anything I needed. And the prices, some of it was reasonable. Some of it was pretty high. And that's the thing, you really just have to watch what you buy, but you can't just go pick out powder here or pick out bullets. You pretty much have to just pick from what's available. And a lot of the really common stuff or really, desired stuff is gone. You tag along, Paul, you come anytime you want and we'll go eat lunch when we get done. I'll buy your lunch if you come to church over there. When is part 2 coming out of your preacher podcast? Wade's in charge of that. The other pastor, we all have a Patriot Pastors podcast. I would say be out in 2 or 3 days. Probably not over the weekend. Might be Monday. That'd be the second half of our interview, our second interview with Mike Stone. Joseph Grace, Joe from California. I know who you are. You bought me a burger at Freddy's one time. You and your daughter passing through on your way to Tennessee. I'm glad you stopped by. It's good to hear from you. Enjoyed our visit that day. What bullet are you going to try in the 6 ARC? A bunch of them. James, I've got some 100, 90, and 95 grain Hornady soft tips. I'll probably try some 100 grain spears just because I've got some of them. I've got some 62 grain Barnes varmint grenades. And the problem with the lighter bullets is the bullets aren't long enough to cycle in an AR. They tend to flip up. But I looked at the Barnes varmint grenade, and it's every bit as long as the 100 grain spear. So they're almost the same length. Not every bit as long. They're almost the same length. So if my rifling will stabilize the 62 grain bullet, it's long enough to cycle. And so I'd like to try it, and that'd give me some, just give me some different things to play around with. Good question. But I've got about every bullet weight you could think of, from 70 grains to 100 in 243. So I'm going to go down until they quit cycling, and then I'm going to try the 62 grain varmint grenade because I know it is long enough to cycle. Is it better? Nothing's better with peas and carrots in it. Man, you keep talking like that, you're going to lose a stripe, Senior Master Sergeant. I used to do maintenance in a church of 2,500. Bless your heart. Oh, hello from Boonville. Hey, David. Thanks for stopping by. We're nearly neighbors. I'm on my way now. I mean it. We'll go eat lunch. It'll give us more time to talk. Then you can argue about everything I preached if we go eat. Do you enjoy shooting or reloading more? I think I like them about equally well. The thing I don't like about reloading is picking up all the brass. And that's probably why I like shooting bolt actions, Jordan. It's probably why I like shooting revolvers and why I don't like shooting ARs and I don't like shooting auto pistols. Because when you get done, you're down on your hands and knees crawling around looking for brass. Or you got to get a brass catcher, and then you look like a weirdo with a sock hanging off the side of your rifle. So if the brass is already picked up and in a coffee can and all I got to do is clean it, I like reloading just about as much as I like shooting. All right. Gadberry fellow's one of us. Well, all right. Good to have him with us. Coming in, hitting the like button. Hey, preacher. Thanks for stopping by, Chico Wise. It's always good to have you coming in from the dirty South, as you say. That cracks me up every time. Boonville, purple and gold. Yep. Back when I was in school, we still played Boonville. I grew up in Greenwood, and then Greenwood just kept growing, and Boonville stayed the same. So I don't guess they play anymore, and I don't keep up with Greenwood football at all anymore either. So, yeah, if you come with Paul, I'll buy your lunch too. We'll just get it all done at one time. But I'd love to have you, David. Dad said 11 p.m. Eastern is bedtime. Is it 10 o'clock here? Well, it is. Good night, Austin. Thanks for coming on and hanging out with us. The machine gunning at the range. Yeah. All right, it's 10 o'clock. I know that's getting late for some of you, especially on the East Coast. So if you've got a question, there's 38 of you watching. Now, this is my last offer. If you've got a question, a comment, a video you want to see me do, an idea, a smart remark, you just want me to tell you again how bad peas and carrots are and how they don't improve anything except stew, now's your chance. Other than that, we're going to wrap it up here in a few minutes. I'll give you a couple of minutes to get your question or comment in. And if you guys are about done asking questions, I'll let y'all go to bed. Good night, Jay. Thanks for coming by. Good night, Austin. Thanks for coming by. Any turkey hunting? No, I don't turkey hunt, Andy. I do crappie fish, and I will be going crappie fishing a lot. But I never have really got into turkey hunting. I've killed 7 or 8 turkeys in my life, and it just I'm sitting out there swatting mosquitoes, picking ticks, thinking I ought to be fishing. It's just the way I'm wired. Good night from Gettysburg, Lance. I want to get up there one of these days. If I do, I'm going to try to holler at you. We'll get together, and I'll buy you lunch or something. Or supper. I don't know. You probably work during the day. I've always wanted to go to Gettysburg. Good night, 6-shooter. All right, guys. I don't guess there's any questions. You've all had a chance to type them up. I thank you guys for tuning in. I try to do a live video once a month. Hey, we're going to leave with this. The Cleverleys benefit squirrel hunt. Kill a squirrel, save a whale. If you don't know who the Cleverleys are, type in the Cleverleys. And I'll recommend you listen to What's Up by the Cleverleys, or listen to She's Not There by the Cleverleys. Either one of those. Or, yeah, that'll be enough. That'll probably be enough to make your stomach turn. Tune into the Cleverleys Arkansas band. Unique. Never met one like them. They're okay in a pot pie. I'll agree with that, Chris, but that's about it. Thank you guys, every one of you, for watching. Thanks for commenting. Thanks for participating. I've said it before. I'll say it again. What makes YouTube fun is interacting with you guys. If I couldn't comment and I couldn't interact and we couldn't have, chats like this, it wouldn't be nearly as fun as me just making a video. Here's what I'm doing today. How far are you from the diamond mine? Probably 3.5 hours north of the diamond mine drive. 3.5, 4 hours. I went there once, vowed never to go back. Good night, Sergeant Devil Dog. Good night, Floyd Hicks, Bearded Carpenter, Wayne, Bait Ammo. Here's your chance to get your name called out. Amore. Hey, man, thanks for coming by. David, come see us sometime. Andy, see you guys on the next one. Go to church on Sunday.